Hey, my name is Robert. Welcome back to Fight Pics. This is going to be a crazy one. This is episode 14, and I'm going to be covering Zurdo Ramirez versus David Benavidez today. This fight on paper is crazy, but today I'm going to tell you and I'm going to inform you why it is more than just an on paper matchup, why these two guys' skills clash very well. And it will lead to a good fight and one that is more competitive than you think. This is not a given win for David Benavidez like the odds are suggesting right now. So let me start off with Zurdo Ramirez's fight style. I'm going to tell you some of his good habits that he has, some of the skills he possesses, and some of the things he does wrong as well. Zurdo Ramirez is a southpaw front foot pressure fighter that looks for damage in combinations and in counters. He is 6'2" and has a bulky frame that leads to him being heavy on his feet most of the time. Despite being so big, he can generate good speed on his counters. He utilizes head movement to make these punches find openings more often. His favorite counter is his left hand. Usually he throws this shot on the catch and counter after his opponent is done throwing a combination. He also sometimes throws this shot during exchanges after slipping his opponent's offense. He loops this shot on occasion, but usually just throws it quickly in order to get it off as quick as possible. He builds off of his counters sometimes, and he will unleash multi-punch combinations if the first punch in his counter lands cleanly. With good counter ability comes good timing and precision. Zurdo Ramirez has very good timing in his counters. He can throw off-rhythm shots his opponent doesn't expect, but most impressively, he has the ability to intercept his opponents as they enter range. His timing and precision for being such a big dude is very impressive. He doesn't look like he would be as accurate as he is due to his frame, but trust me, he is very accurate. He is most successful with his straight left hand, which can pierce through his opponent's guards very often. Zurdo can push a pace for his size. He fought at a very high pace against Chris Billiam-Smith and kept that pace for the whole fight. He did look kind of tired in the final round against Chris Billiam-Smith, but that is bound to happen, especially if you are a cruiserweight. Defensively, Zurdo mostly focuses on head movement that includes slips and rolls. He uses his high guard as well, but he is more successful when moving with his head because it allows him to build offense off of it. He also utilizes his parry every now and then. His biggest issue is his footwork. He often squares up when fighting on the inside. This leaves him off balance, which reduces the power in his punches. He fights like this and he's used to it, so it's not necessarily a bad thing, it just reduces the danger factor. His footwork is relatively slow as well, which is an issue in general because if he needs to be on his bike at any point in the fight, it'll slow him down. He has a cool spin move he does after a combination to reset the action. He usually only does this though when he is executing a boxer puncher game plan as he did against Joe Smith Jr. Zurdo Ramirez has shown a good chin so far in his career and he has been able to take big punches from punchers like Joe Smith Jr. and Uniel Dorticos. Now I'm going to be covering David Benavidez' fight style along with some of the issues he has, which usually I don't discuss as many as I will, but you'll see. David Benavidez fights as his nickname suggests. His nickname is the Mexican Monster. Benavidez fights in the orthodox stance and he stands at 6'2". He is a pressure fighter who puts everything into his punches when he sees openings. Benavidez doesn't have a singular devastating punch, and this is because he puts everything into all punch variations. He has nasty off-timing jabs, straight right hands, hooks, and uppercuts on the inside. All of those punches do damage and in volume wear down his opponents. Benavidez has great body shots. He rips to the body with hooks and uppercuts, and he often does this during combinations when his opponents are busy defending punches up top. Benavidez also has good speed and has been known for it. Despite winding up and putting everything into his punches, he is able to generate a lot of speed on those shots, and this usually gives him the advantage over most of his opponents. Defensively, Benavidez prioritizes his high guard to defend most punches. He does slip or weave out the way of punches, and when he does this, it is most likely him looking to create offense off of your own mistakes. Benavidez makes a lot of technical mistakes, whether it be sloppy footwork or just throwing blind and obvious punches from out of range. It can be very costly for him. I'm going to dive into the specifics of these mistakes now. Benavidez switches stances every now and then when he has his opponents pinned against the ropes. Usually he does this to keep the momentum when he is throwing combinations, so his opponent doesn't have that split second to counter him when he switches stances. This is an issue in his game because he leaves himself totally off balance. Much worse than Zurdo Ramirez does. He will square up and leave himself pretty much wide open for offense. David Morrell was actually able to have many successful moments like this because of the squaring up. Because Benavidez is already very aggressive when he is fighting, he is bound to leave himself open for counters. The looping punches he throws only enhance this danger, let alone when he leads with his rear hand from out of range. Telegraphed movements like this can be devastating against counter punchers. When Benavidez fought David Morrell, he got rocked in the pocket. Benavidez led with his straight right hand and dropped his lead left hand. These two mistakes led to Morrell rocking Benavidez with a counter jab. Now I'm going to be covering my predictions and fight specifics as well. This fight is really competitive because of the styles of both fighters along with the attributes they both possess. Benavidez is a relentless pressure fighter and has great volume, but he is very counterable. Zurdo Ramirez is a counter puncher and a boxer puncher who has great timing and good counters, but can struggle to deal with volume and shots around his guard. Both guys are already good at exploiting weaknesses that their opponents just so happen to have. Benavidez, however, gets countered very often, and it is hard to imagine him all of a sudden just not getting countered. Especially when he is pressuring his opponents against the ropes, he gets countered very often. Yard and Morrell were both countering Benavidez all the time in that fight, and they were landing big counters on him. Morrell made the fight against Benavidez close and competitive because he wasn't afraid to stand in the pocket and trade with him. He was also countering Benavidez all night with power punches. Zurdo might not want to fight in the pocket with Benavidez, but you bet he's going to be countering him. Benavidez has power in his hands, but he does not possess that one-punch power that many fighters do. I can't imagine him hurting Zurdo enough to win by stoppage. Zurdo has a good chin and hasn't been hurt noticeably recently. Benavidez, on the other hand, has been hurt recently, most notably against David Morrell by counter punches. Benavidez is the favorite in this fight as expected, but I don't think you can get hit as often and as cleanly as he does, especially with counters, and get away with it in a fight against Zurdo Ramirez. I am picking Zurdo Ramirez to take this fight the distance and outpoint David Benavidez with the more eye-catching shots to the judges, specifically counters. The counters he will land will be more significant than the quick combinations of Benavidez. I even believe he will hurt Benavidez at some point and perhaps even drop him. That being said, I am picking Zurdo Ramirez to beat Benavidez by decision. I believe, if I had to guess, I think the scorecards are going to be like 116, 112. This will be a good fight, but I think Zurdo Ramirez is going to find the mark more often and more cleanly than David Benavidez. Well, this is going to be a good fight. I'm sure everyone knew that by just looking at the stats on paper, but now you know why this fight is much closer than it seems. Just because Benavidez is undefeated and he's on a mean streak, he has a great resume too, doesn't mean that he's all of a sudden just going to blast through this other Mexican. No, I believe this fight is much closer than people think, and I believe the odds are disrespecting Zurdo Ramirez's chances. Thank you for watching this episode of Fight Pics. Let me know who y'all got in the comments. See y'all next time.